All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's funny because when I put these presentations together, I always think, man, there's so many things that I want to talk about. There's so much that I want to share. And all I can really do is scratch the surface and give you guys a few nuggets to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce myself. I'll give you a little bit of background about me. And I'm hoping that if anything, you guys can say that you learned one thing through this entire presentation. If you can learn one thing, then my job is done. So welcome again to my Internet and Safety Security seminar. Just a little bit about me. I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years. I hold numerous certifications in both computer security, Microsoft technologies, and various firewalls and security vendors. I am a certified ethical hacker. I think people find that funny that there's such a thing that is an ethical hacker. But in order to stop the bad guys, you have to be able to think like the bad guys. And so one of the things that I've constantly am training myself on is how to stay up with the latest hacks and tips and tricks. And I actually have to keep those skills sharp in order to be able to defend against the bad guys. So I am married. I've been married 22 years. I have a 20-year-old daughter. She's a junior in college. And I also have a 19-year-old son who's a freshman in college. So I also, besides technology, I love adrenaline. I love riding motorcycles, and to kind of feed that or to handle that adrenaline rush on the weekends, I'm a cop. So when I'm not a cybersecurity expert, I'm actually out there literally protecting people, fighting crime throughout the city. So just what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about some key information that you need to know about the internet. I'm going to talk to you about a whole myriad of scams that we're seeing, all of which that are happening right now today. Some are going on as we speak. I'm going to give you some tips that you can do at home. I'm going to show you how you can actually check to see if your accounts have been compromised anywhere on the internet. And then we're going to open it up for questions. And my goal is that, you learn something, but if anything, you can learn maybe one thing and then go back and watch this video and then share it with your friends and families and then come to future seminars as well. So let's just start with the bare minimum. Let's just start with key internet terms to know regarding the internet, okay? I'm going to talk to you about basic patching, what is a patch and what's it for? And then what's a 0 day? That's a really big one that you need to know about, because if you ever hear about that term on the internet and you don't know what a 0 day is, it's extremely important that you understand how to protect against it if you can. So I really like this graphic because this graphic kind of helps you understand how big the internet really is. The little iceberg that you see above the water, that's what you know as the internet. The Yahoos or the news sites or the Foothill credit unions. Under that, what you don't see is something called the deep web. That's where when there's a company that gets compromised or gets hacked, all that information that gets stored is stored on the deep web. And sometimes you'll actually hear it referred to as the dark web. They're kind of interchangeable, but there's a lot of illegal, nefarious activities that happens on the dark web or the deep web. And so while you think the internet is big, it really is massive. It's a lot bigger than what you know it to be true. But let's talk a little bit about the first thing I think you need to know about, which is a 0 day. And these 0 days are typically bought and sold on the dark web. Okay, so what is a 0 day? It's something that can cause significant damage to a device, a computer or a system, and there's no fix. There's no way to fix it. So let me explain to you how this comes about. So a software manufacturer, like let's say Adobe or Apple, creates a piece of software. They in turn release it to the world on their phone. So this phone right here has software on it. An attacker or a bad guy finds a hole or a bug in that software. Then he writes a piece of software that attacks that vulnerability and compromises it to do something bad, like steal data, steal money, something. And then the software manufacturer usually says, oh my goodness, we need to have a patch for this. And then they develop a patch, but it's sometimes too late. So a 0 day means there's no fix for it. There's no patch. But what's a patch? So every one of us have a computer. All of you guys are on your computers right now. On your computer, you've got multiple different software packages. You've got Microsoft Office, you've got Adobe, you've got Firefox, you've got Google, you have hundreds of other applications. Each one of those applications is written by a software manufacturer, and occasionally they put patches on their computers. Now, you'll probably see something like this, whether you're a Mac user or a Windows user. You'll get these patch notifications a lot. This is for the operating system. But when it comes to the actual application, you might see this. You might see Firefox. You might see some App Store updates. You might see one that says Adobe Flash. One thing I want you to know, if you see Adobe Flash ever, Flash is dead. Flash should never be used on the internet. Flash is one of the most vulnerable pieces of software on the internet today. So if you have Flash on your computer, or you know that Flash might be there, you need to remove it. And a lot of times people, they go to a website, and the website has some software written in the code, and it'll throw up a page like this. And it says, oh, we need to update your Flash. Well, I just told you a moment ago that you're supposed to update Flash, right? Well, Flash is dead. Flash should never be updated. And if you look closely, you'll notice that this is not a Flash player website. This is a fake website pretending to issue you a patch in an effort to trick you in installing bad or malicious software. So that kind of leads me into the next topic, which is phishing and social engineering. Those terms are kind of interchangeable, but what phishing is, or I'm sorry, what social engineering is, it's somebody deceiving you to believe that something is true when it's not, with an ultimate goal of giving you information or doing fraud. Let me give you an example. So if I went on, let's say Amazon, and I bought a blue Dickie shirt, and then I bought a name tag that said Bob, and then I bought a name tag that said AT&T, and I had those embroidered on my shirt, and I walked into your home, or I knocked on your door, and I said, "Hi, citizen, I'm Bob from AT&T. We've noticed that we have some trouble on your line, and I'd like to come in your house or your business, and I'd like to come in and do some work on your systems." Most people would think, oh, he's holding a clipboard, he has an AT&T shirt, I should let him in. Well, how do you know, in fact, I am who I say I am? You should question everybody and ask them, well, I didn't order this service, or I didn't ask you to come in, or maybe I need to call my boss and make sure that I'm allowed to let you in. That's social engineering. It's me getting you to believe something that it is or not true, may or may not be true. But let's talk about phishing. This is something that we see a little bit more often. This is where you get like a fake email that says, hey, I need you to come to this website and click this link. So this particular person, he caught this email and he said, wait a second, I don't have this. I have Kaiser. I don't know what ID-insurance is. This doesn't look real to me. So he questioned it, and sure enough, this was a fake email. Well, have you seen this before? When you get a fake social engineering email? Well, this is a fake email where a bad person sends an email out and they shotgun it out to hundreds of people, and they're hoping that you'll click on the link. Well, if you click on the link, you can in fact install a bug, install a 0-day. It may look for a missing patch that you don't have. If anything, it could steal your saved passwords on your computer. But how do you know if these emails are real? Well, the first thing is, if you look at the PayPal email, that's coming from some TextPlast NG company. It's not coming from PayPal. But a good hint is, if you hold your mouse over the link that they want you to click on and you follow it, you'll notice, hey, this isn't real. This is fake. This is a fake European website, and they're trying to get me to click on a link. A lot of people nowadays are getting these types of things where they get this email that says, hey, you have an invoice that you need to pay, or hey, here's a picture that I want you to see. Well, keep in mind, PDFs, pictures, anything that you get from an unknown source may be malicious. It may have embedded software in the code of that file, including pictures that could infect your computer. So always, of course, have good antivirus software. But my best advice to you is If you have something that you're unsure of, I would pick up the phone and call a person or just delete it. It's probably safe. Now, something that personally happened to me was I bought a house a few years ago, and I got this email in the process of me buying a house, and it looked really real. And I was like, oh man, I got to sign my DocuSign because I got to get my mortgage payment going. Well, this almost got me to click it, but when I held my mouse over it, I noticed right away this was sending me to Google Docs. That's not right. Why would Google Docs want me to log in and click on a document, but I should be going to DocuSign? So that to me was the first indicator that there was something squirrely with this. But what happens when you actually click that link? Well, what happens is what's been happening to a lot of big companies and just recently happened to LAUSD, ransomware. Well, what is ransomware? What it is when a bad guy holds your computer equipment ransom for a price. And I'm going to show you. So what can happen is all of the passwords on your computer, your network, or all systems can be gone or stolen. They can take over your account and they can become you. Imagine if somebody has your login, username, password, all your access to all your emails. They can lock you out of all your files, meaning they can actually encrypt your files and make it so that you can't access any of your pictures of your grandkids, any of your pictures of your family or friends, your tax returns, or anything that you have that's important to you. And they can take all this information and they can sell it online. Now, to me, that's brutal, right? But let me show you what happens when this actually works, when the bad guy does. So this is a basic Windows 10 computer, okay? I got a couple files on it. One of the files that you'll see here is my mushroom chicken casserole recipe. Pretty basic, right? And then I have this document that I wrote. It's a test document, nothing big. Here's a photo I took of a really hot day. It was 129 degrees outside. And then I got this PDF in the email and I opened the PDF, and right there I opened the email and I'm looking and I was like, what does that say? Congratulations, winner. Well, I don't know what that is. And then all of a sudden, boom, every file on my computer is now encrypted. Now, this bad guy is giving me a countdown clock saying, you have 2 days and 23 hours and 59 minutes to pay me $300. Now, this computer only had a few files. Imagine if I had thousands and thousands of files. The bad guy would try really hard to get me to come and pay him so that I could unlock my files. And unless you have a good solid backup from your computer, if you have any way to restore, these files are gone. You're never going to get them back. You can pay the ransom, but the bad guy still has access to your machine and he might end up reinfecting you again. So it's one of those things where you never really win. Now, if you think about it, you don't think you're going to get hit, but I guarantee you none of these companies thought they were going to get hit either. Our Homeland Security, FedEx, DoorDash, just think, if you've ever ordered anything from DoorDash before, it's been affected by this. And if you don't think ransomware's, if it's going to go away, you're wrong. It's only increasing. It's getting worse year over year. As you can see, the yellow bar, every single year, ransomware is going up. Since 2020, it's just gotten worse, especially with COVID. And if you work in education, if you work in government, or you work in healthcare, your company is specifically at risk. And I know we partner with a lot of those particular companies. So if you get an email and you click the link, don't be the weakest link that infects your network with ransomware. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of talking to a good friend of mine, and she opened her computer and it started talking to her. And it said, hey, you have malware on your computer. We've detected this. You need to call this number right now. This is a scam. This is a scam of somebody in another country in a call center picking up the phone telling you that your computer is infected and you have to pay a fee in order to get this stuff removed. That wasn't the case at all in this situation. All this person had to do was hold down their power button, wait 10 seconds, turn their computer back on, and the problem was gone. But they got this message because they went to a website looking for a chicken recipe, and they just got a bad website with some bad code on it, and boom, this is what happened. So let's talk a little bit more about scams, okay? Let's talk about what I'm actually seeing right now in the world. With the end of the year coming and with tax season approaching, the IRS warns that there's going to be significant increases in fraud relating to scams. Now, you're going to get these in email, you're going to get phone calls, you're going to get texts, you're going to get all sorts of different versions of IRS scams. They're not going to text you, they're not going to call you, they're going to send you a letter in the mail. So remember that. It's not as easy as these guys think, but these guys walk away with billions of dollars every year for people that are duped to believe that they have to pay whatever the bad guy says. That's just one scam. I actually had someone today tell me that their grandma fell for the grandparent scam. What this is this is when your internet is out there on the, your information's out there on the internet, and a bad guy's looking around and they see this very cute little old lady, and she knows that her Facebook is public and anybody can go and view it, and she has a grandson named Billy. Well, what the bad guy does is he finds her phone number online. Very easy to find information online. If you don't believe me, Google yourself or Google your name, and you'll get a lot of information about yourself. What they did was they called grandma and they said, "Hi, grandma, this is Billy. I want you to know I got in trouble. You know I'm a big Lakers fan, right?" Because on grandma's Facebook, she always posts pictures of Billy's in his Laker jersey. Well, I was with my buddies. We went to a Laker game and we decided to go out of town, and I got arrested, grandma, but I don't want you to tell mom and dad. So could you please wire me some money? I need you to wire me some money tomorrow morning, grandma. Please, please, please don't tell mom and dad. Well, bad guy makes grandma believe that Billy's really in trouble, and grandma wires money. Now, more and more people are falling victim to this, especially with people being, working at home or working remote. People are all around the world now. So imagine if you knew your grandson was in Italy and he's like, "Grandma, I'm in Italy. I need you to wire me money." You might want to call somebody and make sure it's real. Another one that we've been getting hit with especially a lot, and I've talked about this in the past, but for some reason it keeps coming back, is romance scams. Now, this is a lady, we had a member that was looking for love online. She was a widow and she hadn't dated anybody in years. So she went online and she, introduced herself to a nice man named Benjamin. Now, this is Benjamin's real picture. This is not Marge's real picture, and Marge is not a real person. I just, changed the name in the picture, but Benjamin, this really is his picture. What I was able to do was I was able to discern that Benjamin was on all of these various websites. And what he was able to do was he was able to FaceTime and call this, various women every single day and make them believe that he was going to come live with them, but they needed to send him money in order to get him to come. Well, Benjamin walked away with a few $100,000 from various people that we knew about, and we know that he made a ton more money. Now, in the last year alone, we've known that romance scams have gone up almost 56%. Now, when you think about that, that's a $547 million loss to people just like you that thought they were falling in love with somebody and got scammed by some bad person out on the internet, and they knew exactly what they were doing, because obviously $547 million is a lot of money, and they're stealing a lot of money from people every single day. But what I'm seeing more of is the text scams. Text messages, we're seeing that they're increasing and they're becoming very, very real. Now, if you think about it, we're all concerned with COVID-19, right? We're also worried about IRS. This is just a few of the text messages that we've seen. We've also seen a lot that look pretty real. Like this one says, "Hey, you have an AT&T message. Congratulations." But if you look at the URL below. That website that you're listed there has nothing to do with AT&T. It's a dead giveaway that this is a scam. Or let's say you get a text message that your iPhone is lost. Well, if you look closely, it's not maps-icloud.com, it's icloud.com. So these are the things that you can do. Instead of clicking the link, pick up the phone and call somebody and say, "Hey, look, I need somebody to actually validate this is real or not." Last night, I was putting this presentation together and I was talking to my son. These are two text messages that my son got yesterday. So actually, they were on his phone from earlier in the month, but you can see one of them was from yesterday and one of them was from earlier in the month. Now, my son, the first one says, "Your account debit card has been locked." And the other one says, "Arrowhead Credit Union." Well, my son doesn't have an Arrowhead Credit Union account, But this is what the fraudsters are doing, and this is how they're making it look really real. They're listing Arrowhead Credit Union. Is your account, is this your account? And you say, or what they'll do is they'll say, we have a charge for $5. Is this in fact real? And you say no. Well, once you've done that, you've just engaged with the bad guy. And the bad guy knows, okay, this person's engaged with me, and I know they're willing to talk to me about this particular situation. So what does the bad guy do? The bad guy downloads what's called a spoofing app on his phone. Call spoofing. It's where I can make you believe that I'm calling from somebody else. If you don't believe me, just go to the app store, and you can find hundreds of apps where you can change your caller ID. So what the bad guy does is he calls you because you replied to him because he has your phone number because it's a text message. He spoofs the number for Foothill Credit Union. He says, thank you for calling Foothill Credit Union. How may I help you? And then, oh yeah, you just texted me about this charge. Oh, no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to validate your card information for me. And he'll ask you your card number. He'll ask you the secret PIN. He'll ask you all kinds of personal information. And then he'll say, okay, ma'am, we've gone ahead and we've go ahead and blocked that charge for you. You don't have anything to worry about. What he's doing then is he's creating a card on his computer, and he's using that card online to buy fraudulent purchases. Now, these people are extremely sophisticated, very well spoken, and they're probably calling you from somewhere in the United States, and you would think that there's someone in our call center. My recommendation to you is immediately hang up the phone, call us back, because that person initiated the call to you. You call us back and be like, hey, I need to validate if this is real or not. But that's just one of the many scams that we see. So let's talk to you a little bit, let's push that aside for a little bit, and let's talk about some dangerous companies. Wait, I'm sorry, some data-driven companies. Let's talk about data and why data is so important. Data, and the reason it's so important to Google and to companies like Meta and Facebook, is they're creating a digital fingerprint on you, on me, on everybody around. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you, because I talk to my kids about this all the time, and they think I'm wrong. They don't necessarily believe that there's a digital fingerprint on them, but there is. I'm going to show you how. This is my Facebook account. I don't use it. It's very rare that I ever even go in there. I have it for presentations like this. Each person on the internet, everything you do, everything, every Google search, every Facebook search, every picture you tag is logged and recorded. If you look here, there's this thing called an activity log. Every single thing you do is tracked and logged within Facebook. Now, why does that matter? Well, show of hands here, how many people have paid for Facebook? Oh, none of you? That's right, because Facebook's free. But if you notice, Facebook is a pretty powerful company, but you think, how? I'm going to show you. There's this thing within Facebook called off Facebook activity. And what it does is it allows businesses to share information about you with Facebook so that Facebook can give you targeted ads. Let me explain a little bit differently. So my son and I, we're going to do some work on his motorcycle, and he needed a tire for his, an inner tube for his motorcycle tire. So I went on my phone, which I don't have Facebook installed. There's no Facebook on here. Logged onto my phone, and I went to AutoZone.com. I looked at their hours. I looked up a few other things, went and picked it up, and then I started preparing for a presentation like this. When I dug a little deeper, I realized, wait, how does Facebook know that I went to all these various websites? I don't even log into Facebook ever, like rarely. How do they know this? So I did some digging, and this is what Facebook has to say about it. When you visit a website or use an app, these businesses share what you do on their site with us using our business tools. Here's an example. Jane buys a pair of shoes from an online clothing store. The store shares Jane's activity with Facebook, meaning Facebook paid for that information. We receive Jane's off Facebook activity and we merge it to her Facebook profile, her digital profile. Then we give Jane targeted ads on Facebook for 10% coupon. Now let's think about this for a second. I don't log into Facebook. So why is Facebook buying information from AutoZone about me? Because they want a digital profile on me. That's scary to me. Facebook's willing to pay a third-party company for what I do on their website. Have you ever seen that little login that says login with Facebook, login with Google? Well, when you do that, you're allowing everything that you do on that Facebook to just be fed to those companies. So if you ever use OfferUp, I use OfferUp to sell like motorcycle parts. They've received 111 activities from my digital person. So they're paying OfferUp a lot of money for whatever I do on their website, which to me is a little shady because I never gave OfferUp the permission to sell my information to Facebook, but they do it anyways. And if you don't believe me, let's look at how much money Facebook has made in the last 10 years. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's just a lot of money. $117 billion. That's scary to me because Facebook's paying other companies for my information. So what are they doing with it? They're selling it. They're selling it to the highest bidder. I don't know who that is. But let's move away from Facebook for a second. Let's talk about another really important company. Let's talk about Google. Have you ever used any Google products? Do you use YouTube, web, internet? Do you use Waze on your phone to get you directions on how to get to the store or the doctor? I mean, a lot of people use these tools. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but every single search you do in Google, every image you view, every place you've ever gone that you have your phone with you that has Google installed is kept on your phone and it's stored in Google's server. If you don't believe me, let me show you. This is your timeline. And I want you to write down myactivity.google.com. Go there when you can. Go there and look at what they have on you. You'll see the timeline of where you've gone with your phone. So if you have Waze or you have any app running on your phone, they're keeping track of everywhere you're going. And they actually, you can click on one and you can see how many minutes you spent there, how long you were there, if you went someplace close by, how fast you drove. I mean, they just have a tremendous amount of data on you. Well, think about this. What if you're traveling across the world? They're following you and they know where you go. So everything that you do is like recorded and stored in some cloud somewhere. Well, all of these apps, if you've ever used Google Earth, if you've ever used Duo, if you've ever used Google Fonts, Google Sheets, I don't know about you, but my kids are in school. They use Google from the time they're in kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. That scares me because they have all that data on all these kids. But how many of you are paying for your Gmail account? That's right, 0. But look at Google's profit. This is in billions, $256 billion last year in revenue. Now, if you don't think Google has the market share of the world, you're sadly mistaken because 71% of the world's mobile operating system for these phones is Google. Only 28% belongs to Apple. The rest is Google. In the United States, there's a higher population of people that use iOS. But in the rest of the world, just think about this. There are people in the middle of a country in Africa, all of their data is stored on Google's server. That scares me. And remember we talked earlier about those 0 days? If you're using any of these Google phones, there's a bunch of 0 days that were put out, there were no fixes for. And that's why they want you to constantly keep updating their phone. But let's not talk about those two data-driven companies anymore. Let's talk about what kids like to do nowadays. I don't know about you, but my kids, all they want to do is they want to post online. They want to post everything that they have in their lives online. Well, this is Foothill Credit Union's Instagram page. And what I did was I decided I was going to stalk one of our employees. And so I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to look at this. And I noticed that there's 2 names there. And so I thought to myself, okay, I wonder how much information I can get online over this one person. So I ran a quick little, hacker utility and I got all this information, like all the websites that this person's a part of. And I was a little taken back. I was like, wow, there's a lot of information out there. And that was just with literally 5 seconds of searching. Well, I found out this person likes shoes, this person likes cupcakes, And I found out all kinds of other information about this person, what they're interested in, what their certifications are. But one of the things that really bothered me about this was, and I actually asked this person if I could do this. I said, hey, I noticed that there was an article, there was an obituary, and the obituary talked about your father that passed away. So I said, you know, if I was a bad guy and I had all this information about you, I could literally pick up the phone and call you and say, hi, I'm John from the insurance company, and I wanted to make sure that you got your final disbursement from your dad's passing, and we have this insurance claim. I just need your social security number and address so that I can go ahead and mail you your final check. Well, think about this. If a bad guy can gather all this information about you, imagine what else they can get. They can really start digging into you and really finding out everything about your personal life. And to me, that is like super creepy. It is like super intrusive. But as kids, we give all this information away free to whoever wants it. And that to me is a little painful. So I really warn you, be careful with how much information you're willing to give away and who you're willing to give it away to. Because what I would do is I would do what's called a spear phishing campaign. I would send you, the person that I want, whether you're an influential business owner, you're someone that I might think has a lot of money, someone that recently won some lottery, someone that had a family member pass away and you inherited a bunch of money, anything that I wanted to do to better, gain myself, I would focus on you and I would start to come at you every which way possible, whether it's email, whether it's text, whether it's phone calls. That's the power of the internet. So if you don't think that that could actually happen, well, all of these soldiers in Israel were duped by a fake person and a fake profile of someone that they thought that this girl was really interested in them, but it was just someone trying to get in their phones. And if you don't think it could happen to you, I'll bet you didn't think Jeff Bezos would think it would happen to him either, because literally the most powerful person in the world had this happen to them. But let's think about this for a second. How many times have we actually said to ourselves, I really want to do one of those fun little surveys because I like to be online and I like it and I think it's fun. Well, let's think about this for a second. You give all this information. You give your birthday, your favorite color, your favorite restaurant, your favorite sports team, and there's all these other surveys where, I can, are you single? What's your zodiac sign? What's your hobby? What's your favorite thing to do? Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but those also look very similar to the secret questions that you fill out for your online banking or for whatever website you're trying to go to. So you really have to be careful not to offer up too much information out there, because if you do, and you're a bad guy and you want to get all this information, all I have to do is go scour your Facebook or your Instagram and find all the secret questions, all your answers to your secret questions, because they're probably already out there. So, this was a really fun post that I saw from the Jacksonville Police Department. They said, stop giving people your personal information to guess your passwords and your secret questions. So, really, you have to think about what are you willing to give away for free. Now, let's talk for a second about chat clients. We have Facebook Messenger, we've got Discord, we've got Slack, we've got, Skype, Signal, you've got, oh my gosh, there's so many to choose from. I don't even know where to start. Well, if you don't think that the government is utilizing this to also listen to what you're doing, well, they actually paid a bad guy $180,000 to create an app to backdoor the drug cartels. And it worked. They were listening. They knew every one of their drops. They knew where they were going, what they were doing. Now, I don't know if anybody on this call has ever heard of WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp is an app that was created to chat. Well, Facebook bought the app for $16 billion because they were so excited about getting the data that people were transferring back and forth that they paid $16 billion for this app. The guy that created it, or the co-founder, his number one claim was delete the app. Facebook is using it for nefarious purposes, delete the app. Then he went on to say, every single contact in your phone gets uploaded to Facebook, and you're literally going to be an easy, target for hackers. So just by using the app, you're putting yourself at risk. So you have to be careful because, as I said, Facebook has a tremendous amount of data on you. Well, the top 3 apps that the hackers hack around the world are Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, all of which are owned by Meta, aka Facebook. But why? What's the big deal? The reason is you're the commodity. Your data is worth money, and Facebook is willing to pay for it every single day. Now, if you say to yourself, man, this is what my kids say, I'm not worth anything. Nobody wants to, know what I got. Well, think about it. If you've ever been on any of these websites, Facebook, Marriott, Grubhub, Capital One, Twitter, they've all been hacked, every one of them. They have all of your personal data already. So that digital fingerprint is in the hands of a bad guy. And he's trying to sell that information to the highest bidder, whether it's your credit card data, your personal data, your favorite color, I don't know, whatever it is, they have it. But this is where it gets scary to me. Okay, this is what's new. This is just basic hacking. The new thing on the market is deep fakes. Now, deep fakes, and I need to know, I'm going to make sure that I shared my screen. So I want to make sure you guys can hear this, but we'll find out if I don't. What a deep fake is when there's a video of somebody and it looks like a real person, but it's not. They're utilizing artificial intelligence and the power of computers to leverage fake data. So you've probably seen like CGI where there's a guy and he's crawling on a mountaintop, or Tom Cruise is hanging off the side of a building. Well, that's fake. Well, what they're able to do now is they can take a person and they can actually record a fake person and they can overlay a real person and make it look like it's real. Let me show you. And I want to make sure, I'm hoping that you can hear this. We'll find out.
Yes.
Give up your arms. But no one was fooled by such an obvious thing. Here it is side by side with the real Zelensky, who's been praised around the world for his bold leadership and refusal to abandon the Dan Gregory is an expert on deepfakes. His body doesn't look like Zelensky. His neck doesn't look like Zelensky. His voice doesn't sound like Zelensky, and his face just looks kind of off. But these kinds of things kind of fool people. President Zelensky responded quickly to the deepfake video, telling his people there will be no surrender. Meanwhile, the Kremlin.
Okay, so why this is so important and why I bring this up is because misinformation can cause a war. Misinformation can have a dramatic impact on whatever it is you choose to believe, whether it's politics, religion, or just something that you might have heard on the news. So misinformation, the accidental spread of inaccurate information, makes it harder for people to find accurate information. And it also causes fear, panic, hate, and it just makes regular situations more challenging. So I'm going to take a very simple nursery rhyme and I'm going to actually give you an example. Little Red Riding Hood lived with a wolf and lived happily ever after. Well, all of us have seen Little Red Riding Hood. And I guarantee you that's not true. She wasn't too happy with him. So what I always remind people is, who made the video? Who made the picture? Who made the news? What's the source of it? And is it real? Is it a trusted source? Where did it come from? Why are you sharing it? What's your reason for sharing it? And when was it published? So I think to myself, oh my God, with all the information that's going on in the world right now, there are other countries that are trying to influence America by giving misinformation. And what they do is they feel like, and so I'll tell you straight up, one of the biggest goals of these state-sponsored attacks is to cripple the United States economy. And how you do that is the financial sector, the political sector, and the energy grid. Those are the three things to me where it gives anybody outside the world, if they feed enough misinformation to us, we'll start turning on each other, which we already have. They can do rolling blackouts. They can, just gouge us online. But then when you think to yourself, what can I do about this? How can I solve this problem? And what I tell people is trust nothing. Trust no one. Don't trust anybody or anything. Now, you're going to believe what you want to believe. You're going to believe whatever news source is important to you. But what I had a conversation with someone this morning, and we were talking about this, and I threw this slide in here, not to make a political statement, but to me, depending on where you are and which column you fall in, that's going to be where you get your news, right? So if you are worried about things that are going on in the world, move outside of your column and maybe go to the other extreme and do some information. Do some research for yourself, because misinformation is dangerous. And we all look to the news. So when you look to the news and you go there and they all have the same information, is it a real thing, or is it just biased because it falls in that column? So keep that in mind. Based on all of these hacks I've showed you and all of these things that are stealing you, what can you do to protect yourself, which is the commodity that I keep talking about? Number one, credit freeze. Easiest thing you can do, and it costs you nothing. You go on all three of these major vendors and you lock your credit report right away. When you do that, they give you a code. Unless you're going to go buy a car or a house, you have no reason to have credit bureaus or creditors coming after you, asking you to, here's my newest credit card offer. When you do this, you'll actually notice that credit card offers go down because they can't do a credit pull on you anymore. Plus, it might help your credit score go up a little bit. The second thing you do, you turn on what's called multi-factor authentication. Now, this morning, I found out that my credit card was potentially stolen at a gas station. Now, they did an inquiry on my credit card and I immediately got alerts. Oh, let me back up a second. Whenever I buy something online, whenever I go and I swipe my card, I get an alert on my phone. But let's say I want to go on the website and buy something. When I log into the website, I'm going to get a code from that website that says, hey, is this really you? Is this who you say you are? So what multi-factor authentication is, it's something you have and something you know. I have my phone. I know my password. So when I type in my password to that site and it sends me a code, I can then type that code into that website and I can get in. But if Joe Bad Guy has my username and password, but he doesn't have my phone, he's never going to get the code. They'll never get into the website. Every major website nowadays has multi-factor authentication. If you're a member of ours and you use Zelle, you have to use multi-factor authentication in order to do this. Any website that you're a part of, make sure you go into settings and turn it on. And if you don't know how to do it, just call their support and ask them. To my earlier comment, turn on alerts. Foothill just recently rolled out a brand new service on our mobile and desktop app that allows you to get real-time alerting of any transaction on your card. And you can do geofencing that says, hey, if I'm not within this 25-mile radius, do not allow my card to be used. It's a great thing because it allows you to control when your card is. Plus, you can turn off and turn on your card. You can block your card. Tons of things you can do directly from the mobile app. But having those instant alerts that you get when someone tries to use your card, that's a safety net you can't miss. Another big suggestion that I can get every single person on this call is when you go up to an ATM or you swipe your card and you get gas, the skimmers that are the bad guys are usually putting them up above and they're capturing your card. If you put your hand over it and then you type in your code like this, the bad guys can't get your PIN number. Or whenever you have an opportunity to use the chip or you have to use the tap, always do that over the swipe. The swipe is much more vulnerable and the chip and the tap are not as vulnerable. So those are a couple of tips you can also do. Another thing you can do, turn on silence unknown callers. This is a setting built into the iPhone that says, hey, if you're not in my contacts, I'm not going to allow you to call me. You're going to go straight to my voicemail. The good thing about that is your spam calls go way down and you have the ability to control who calls you. Now, if someone spoofs you and they're calling you from a spoof number, you might get the call. You never know, but just keep that in mind. Another thing I always suggest to everybody is use a password manager. Now, password managers are typically free or they cost maybe $2 a month. What this is it allows you to store all of your passwords in a little database on your computer or your phone. And when you go to the web, it should come up and say, hey, I see you're trying to log into this website. Do you want me to auto inject your password for you? And then just type in your secret password for the password database. Password managers will save your life because it allows you to use a different username and password on every single website. If you're anything like my family likes to use the same password on every single website. And I always tell them how dangerous that is. But people are, I don't want to say lazy, but they like the easy way around things. So, oh, I remember password 123, so that's where I'm going to make my password. That's a horrible way to do it. You need to secure yourselves by not becoming a victim, because if anybody finds out your password is 123 on all your websites, are you going to be faster than the bad guy to go in and change them? Or is he going to take over your accounts? You know, password manager that I use here, it'll tell you, hey, look, there's a Facebook hack and you should know about this breach. So you probably need to go change your password. Or this website has multi-factor authentication. You should go and turn it on. Another place you can also go is this website called haveibeenpawned.com. You go there, type in your email address, and it'll tell you if your data is anywhere out on the internet. Beyond that, just Google your name, Google your phone number. You're going to find some scary, scary, scary information out there. Also, keep in mind that California introduced a new bill called the CCPA, or the California Consumer Privacy Act, or the Protection Act. What that does is that forces online companies to automatically remove your data if you tell them to. So if there's a retailer like Facebook and you don't want them having your data, you can request through CCPA that they remove and delete all of your data. So something that you should consider. Now, I've thrown a lot at you, and this is kind of boring, right? Your grandkids, they're not going to want to, your kids or your spouse, they're not going to want to sit through a presentation like this. But what if you could sit on the couch together and you could watch a show that would teach you a lot about this? This by far is the most powerful, impactful documentary on Netflix. My wife and I watched it together. We both deleted all the social medias off our phone afterwards, because when you see how the social companies string you around like a puppet, it makes you think, man, that's not really cool. I like sharing pictures with my friends and family, but maybe I don't want the app on my phone. It's pretty interesting. There's another one for kids called TikTok. Talks about Gen Zs and about how TikTok literally plays on the hearts and the minds of young kids, especially ones with depression, and rather than helping them, it's trying to hurt them. So this one's really, I feel like was really influential as well. And then there's also one called Terms and Conditions May Apply. Now, these are just a few nighttime watchings or a few things that I can share with you that might really help you understand more about what I've talked to you about today. We're just scratching the surface, folks. There's a million things that we can talk about. I would love to know what future content you guys want to know about. Do you guys want to know about, blockchain? Do you want to know about Bitcoin? Do you want to know about YouTube? What do you want to know about? Let us know in the comments and we'll be happy to help you out. But as a takeaway, I'm telling you guys, make sure you patch all your devices. Have you patched your home network? Have you changed your Wi-Fi at home? Does everyone in the neighborhood know your Wi-Fi password? Is your security information online? Do you know, is your social security number out there? Check and see if you've been hacked. Change your passwords regularly. Use a password manager. And best of all, just stay alert, because if it looks too good to be true, or if you think it might be too good to be true, it most likely is. So my goal for each one of you is just to be a little bit safer online. Share with us your thoughts and opinions. And if you need, ideas or help, ask somebody that you trust, because there's a lot of bad people out there that really want to take you for granted. And I don't like to see anyone being a victim. So with that, I want to thank you guys all for joining today. It's a pleasure being here. Stacy, she is going to go ahead and send you guys some information regarding this webinar later on in the week, and you'll have the opportunity to watch it with your friends and family if you want. We will send you a recording of it. I don't know if we have any questions and answers. Looks like we had one questions. Yes, we do. And I think that's all.
Yes, that's it.
All right.
So, well, thank you, everybody. If you do have any questions afterwards, feel free to email the credit union And we can get those questions over to Lenny, and he'll be more than happy to respond to those questions. And also, like Lenny said, if there's any topics that you are interested in, please reach out to us, let us know. And we would love to put a seminar together and get that, out to you early next year.
One plug I would like to do, Stacy, is so we know that we won't be able to stop everyone from being online. So what Foothill has done is on Fridays, we have a social channel on our Instagram page where we're putting out security information every single week. So if you are on social media and you do utilize it, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we're going to provide you helpful hints, tips and tricks, looking out for scams, and then how to use our products and services. And we would love to see your questions online. You can always pose them there, and one of our online people will be happy to answer your questions. So
yes, we did get a question. Can you watch this later and slow it down to take notes? So yes, when you do get it, you will be able to pause the recording, take notes, and then hit play again and keep going. So it'll be a little bit easier for you to take notes from the recording. So great. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And thank you, Lenny, for your time this evening. You gave us a lot of great information. So with that said, everyone have a great evening. And thank you again for being members of the credit union.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.